I think you grew up in Mysore.
Yes.
And in fact, your father was a physician.
Yes, he is.
Don't hold that against me. The interesting thing, as I understand it, is that you always had an interest in nature and, if you will, being outside. And then you met your own guru at age 11. And maybe you can tell us about sort of perhaps what was different about you compared to your three other older siblings, and this interaction at such a young age with somebody who ultimately had, I think, a huge impact on your life. That was a short question.
I must say this, that till I was 19 years of age, I was so taciturn that I barely spoke. Because at the age of 3 or 4 years of age, I suddenly realized I do not know anything. I did not know anything at all. So when you know nothing, what do you say? My whole time and life went paying attention to all kinds of things, just anything. If you give me a glass of water, I could simply sit there staring at it for hours on end. If I sit up in the night, I would be just staring at the darkness for the whole night. My education was like this. If I opened a textbook, I would find a small, tiny little dot on the page that would keep me engaged for hours on end. I would be like this with the textbook for 2 hours, 3 hours, without reading a single word.
I do that now.
I mean, I didn't look here or there, just here. Just the tiny little dot kept me so engaged. So, if you really look at it even now, in many ways we know how to use everything in the universe, but we don't know what it is. With all this scientific exploration, we still do not know a single atom in its entirety. We know different components of it. We know how to fuse it, how to break it, how to use it, but we do not know what it is. If somebody gets to know what it is, he will know who he is and he will know what everything is, because this is the nature of the universe. If you know an atom, you will know the cosmos. So, that aspect of the question where you're talking about my relationship with my siblings, well, it was playful and there, but I was never really there. Because what happened when I was 3, 4 months of age, I still remember. My memory was such that either I never was a child, or I never grew up. It's for you to conclude. But when I was 5, 6 years of age, I was thinking about the same way. Maybe today the accumulated knowledge has increased, but the fundamental way of thought has not in any way better or worse, it's just about the same. So somewhere, I never was a child and this manifested itself in so many ways. Though I was the youngest in the family, my mother, unknowingly, she would almost address me like I'm her elder brother. When I'm saying when I was 8, 9, 10 years of age. And nobody could ever cuddle me, fondle me, take them on my lap. Such things never happened to me. And I never felt the need either. So, I think I never grew up or I never was a child.
Maybe you can tell us, though, about the meeting, the initial meeting or the interaction with your own guru who taught you.
He was not my guru. He was… in India there's a word called Guru Bhai. That means there's a… among the disciples there's a certain brotherhood. So he kind of reminded me of certain things, and anyway, I was a super skeptical about everything. And I got into this for all the wrong reasons. I think I should I did not go in pursuit of spiritual process or some other higher pursuit. This is an ancestral home where once a year in the summer vacations we all arrive. About 36 of us, all cousin brothers and sisters, and it's one rollicking scene. For the boys, one of the sport is in the backyard. We have a well, which is about 8 feet in diameter and 150 feet in depth. Summers, usually the water is somewhere around 60–70 feet down. So one of the sport is to jump into the well and climb up. When you jump, you must jump proper, otherwise your brain will become a smear on the wall. To come up, there is no foothold, there's no ladder or anything, you just hold the rock and climb up. And it's tough, because we were built like monkeys. We did come up. One day we were doing this. Today I realize it's a dangerous sport. And a man who was over 70 years of age was standing there and watching us. Without a word, he went and jumped into the well. I thought he's done. But he came up faster than me. I didn't like it. So I asked him how. He said, "Come and do yoga." I followed him like a puppy. And he taught me some simple things. I thought this will make me physically super. And I went. Next 12–13 years, without a single day's break, it happened for me. And I never ever imagined that this would lead me to another dimension of life altogether. So what I'm trying to say is, the nature of this existence is such, even for the wrong reasons, if you do the right thing, it bears a result. The important thing is to do the right thing.
So does that mean we should build a well and…
Throw all these people one by one.
So it's interesting though that ultimately though you ended up going to university and studying English literature.
I went to the university.
You didn't study.
I know I'm in a university, I shouldn't be speaking like this, but first of all, when I finished my high school, I decided not to pursue my education further, which could be quite common in America, that people can choose. But in India, those times, discontinuing education is considered a suicide. It's finished, because everybody is working to become a doctor. If he cannot get the medical seat, he'll become an engineer. This is a format, set. So my father being a physician, obviously I'm supposed to become a physician. There's no question about that. So at the age of little over 16, when I finished my high school, I said, I'm not going to the university, I want to educate myself. The family went into a tizzy. So this 1 year, I just went to the Mysore University library and spent time reading all kinds of things. From Homer to Thomas More and all kinds of things. Philosophy to popular mechanics, poetry, history, geography, just about anything, every day. This is important for me because at that time it was very important. I was so physically active. I was eating 10 times what I eat today. And always I was hungry, eternally hungry. And this 1 year, I went without lunch, which was a significant achievement for me at that time. I would eat a big breakfast in the morning and go there at 8:30 when the library opens and stay there till 8 in the evening, till it closes and throw me out. I just read all kinds of things, nothing in particular. Then once again, when the next academic year came and there was drama in the family and, mother's tears and stuff, so I went to the university. And then I found, with all due respect to the teachers, they were just dictating notes all the time. And everybody was writing down, making a whole lot of noise. Those fountain pens, kara kara kara, it was making noise. I didn't like it. I said, what is the point of this notes taking? If you give it to us, we will photocopy it. We don't have to come, you don't have to come. So I made a deal with all the teachers that I don't have to come to the class because I have 1,000,000 questions floating around. I am always living in a cloud of questions, 1,000,000 questions all the time. I have questions about everything in the universe and they don't have answers, they have notes. So I went and planted myself in the university garden outside. That is when I realized certain things about human beings. When I sat in the garden, people started coming to me one by one. Initially about their educational problems and money problems and boyfriend-girlfriend problems, family problems, all kinds. I just found out, just continuous stream of people, this whole 3 years, I listened to thousands of people's problems. I realized everybody has a problem. I was the only freako who did not have a problem. It is just that I never saw anything as a problem with me, but everybody had some problem. So I gave my own wacky solutions to them at that time. But this kind of really got me thinking, why is it that everybody has a problem? And it made me see that just about any situation is a problem. Wherever you place them, they have a problem. This is an attitude a whole lot of human beings have taken, really. You place them anywhere, they have a problem. So, this kind of really got me thinking, what is this?
We were talking earlier and you'd made a comment, we were talking about people and kids, and it was every child's given a definition of what's wrong with them, or versus everyone's unique and special, if you will. And maybe that was the lack of recognition of that reality, perhaps.
Yes, human beings are not coming from a Toyota assembly unit, okay? Each human being is unique, the way they are. It is not necessary to label everybody who is not like you as a problem. Actually, if everybody is a problem, you have a certain kind of sickness, isn't it? Today, we're just branding children at an early age that they are this A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, something. Every human being is a unique possibility. What I can do, you cannot do. What you can do, I cannot do. This is how it is, and that's why it's beautiful. I want you to just imagine a world where everybody was just like you. Can you live in that damn place?
That would really be exciting.
So the problems that people have with others is just this, why are you not like me? If they were like you, oh, you could… in your home if there was one more person just like you, could you live there? Then tell me sincerely. It would be impossible, isn't it? But we can't appreciate that they're different. We have to label them as a problem. It's not necessary. All of us have come with different kind of capabilities and possibilities on the outside only. When it comes to our physicality and our psychological condition, we are all different. But if we take the privilege of sinking a little deeper into this, there is a fantastic unity. If you cannot enjoy the uniqueness, you will not aspire for the unity either. People or societies are working towards sameness. Sameness is terrible, believe me. If all of us are same, we will want to commit suicide in this world because it's not worth living. If every one of us are just same, how will you live? Whom will you marry? If everybody is same. Fortunately, they're all different. There's no one like the other anywhere. And this is the beauty of creation. If we cannot even appreciate and accept such a fundamental nature of the existence, this is because we don't have a mind, we have a factory in our head. We want to turn out something.
One of the challenges, I think, and I think you addressed this in one of your many books, but is labeling good and bad and just the labeling itself.
See, the moment you identify something as good and something as bad, you have divided the world. You divide the world and then try to unify it. Why? I want to ask you a simple question, all of you, sincerely. You don't have to say anything within yourself, you answer this. Is there anybody here who's 24 hours good or 24 hours bad?
In a lifetime.
In a lifetime, I'm saying.
Cumulatively.
You're going up and down, it's okay.
This is an engineer here. He's trying to quantify everything.
One moment you're wonderful, another moment you're nasty, another moment you're beautiful, another moment you're ugly. It's fine. It is just that if you see that the nature of your responses right now are in a compulsive state of reaction to the outside, and instead of being a compulsive reaction, it becomes a conscious response, then everything will happen the way you want it. If everything about you happens the way you want it, would you keep yourself pleasant or unpleasant? If your body and mind happen just the way you want it, would you keep yourself blissful or miserable? Hello, it's a question. Huh? What is your choice for yourself? I'm not asking, what is your choice for a neighbor? That may be debatable. What is the choice for yourself? Definitely highest level of pleasantness, isn't it? If you are in a higher state of pleasantness right now, you're really blissful. You're sitting very joyfully here, somebody stepped on your foot. You're going to just get up and punch him in the face? No, you're perfectly okay at that time, isn't it? When you're unhappy, frustrated, miserable, somebody as much as passes by you, you want to claw them. I want you to understand the external unpleasantness is just an expression of the internal unpleasantness. If this is feeling wonderful, why would you do nasty things anyway? You wouldn't. It's 100% insurance, believe me.
When you were, 25 and we were talking about motorcycles, and in my case, motor scooters earlier, I was saying in homage to Guruji, I rode my Vespa today over here. So, but we were talking about the fact that he rode all through India on an old Vespa, a 60s Vespa. But
I started riding when I was 9–10 years of age. That was Vespa, but later on I graduated to something bigger.
I haven't graduated yet. I haven't graduated. My son's waiting to graduate to his Vespa experience. But an event happened when you were 25, which you write about, is it Chamundi Hill? And how you were there and had an experience. Maybe you can share that with us. And it changed things, how you saw the world.
Actually, many things happened before this. It's just that I was too arrogant to see it. I had to be bombed to see it. I was not sensitive enough to see anything small. Many small things happened. When I look back now, it was all there. But I was such a super smart guy. okay? If I accepted these things are happening, I had to accept that I've been stupid all the time. So I was not willing to give up the mantle of being a smart young man and see that you've been a stupid fool, not realizing fundamentals of the nature of your existence. So I had to be really bombed out for me to come to terms with it. So you were talking about the bombed out situation. So it happened, I was into business by then. And very successful for those times. Nobody expected me to be that successful in such a short span of time. And I'm already into half a dozen commercial activities and all of them are flourishing. Of course, I'm doing a whole lot of circus. My schedule was like morning 5:30 to 11 in the night every day. I'm on, doing variety of things. But when everything that you do is working and successful, slowly you begin to think the planets are not going around the sun, they're actually doing their rounds around you. So I'm in such a state of absolute certainty about everything. You're young, everything is working, people around you are clapping their hands. This is it. So one afternoon, I had nothing much to do between two business meetings, and this is a kind of a culture, a tradition in my soul that if whatever we want to do, if you want to camp, we go and camp on Chamandi Hill. You want to trek, it's Chamandi Hill. You want to have a party, Chamandi Hill. You fall in love, it's Chamandi Hill. If you fall out, you have to go to Chamandi Hill. If you have nothing to do, you go to Chamandi Hill. So, this is a place I test my motorcycles, this is a place I meditate, this is a place you meet people, all kinds of things. So I rode up and this was around 3:00 in the afternoon. I went and sat on I'm very familiar with the whole hill. I sat on a particular rock. My eyes were still open, I did not even close my eyes. Suddenly I did not know which is me and which is not me. Till that moment I knew this is me, that is somebody else. I have no issue with that somebody, but this is me, that's somebody. That's a world of distance. This is me and that is somebody is a world of distance. So, I was sitting there, the very air that I breathe, the atmosphere, the rock, everything had become me. What is me had just exploded all over the place. I thought this insanity lasted for about 5–10 minutes, but when I came back to my normal senses, about 4.5 hours had passed. I'm sitting right there, fully conscious, eyes open. Sun has set. For the first time in my adult life, tears. Me and tears were impossible. I was like this. I remember when I was 8 years of age, something happened and tears came. I was at school. I made up my mind, never again in my life another teardrop is ever going to come out of my eyes, and I kept it up till I was 25. And here I am, my shirt is wet. To that extent, 4.5 hours tears have been running, and I never realized it's 4.5 hours, I thought it's just about 10 minutes. I've always been peaceful and happy, I'm young, successful, and everything is doing great. But every cell in my body is opening up like a flower, and I'm dripping with ecstasy. When I shake my head and ask my skeptical mind, what's happening to me? The only thing my mind could say was, you may be going off your rocker. I speak to the closest of my friends, something happening to me. The only questions that I got from them was, what did you drink? Did you pop something? This is all. What I'm trying to say is there was no context anywhere for me. I did not grow up in any spiritual traditions, I had not heard of any such thing, I was too arrogant to go anywhere, to be exposed to anything. I was busy with my own thing, my own wild ways of doing things. Here I am, something totally extraordinarily different happening to me. The next time that it happened is significant because there were people around me. I went and sat at the dinner table with my family. I actually thought it's 2 minutes. About 7 hours had passed. I'm right there, eyes open, fully conscious, just time. It doesn't make logical sense. I don't expect you to, either understand or believe these kind of things. It's just that time would just flip. Once I sat down, I thought it's about 25–30 minutes. When I opened my eyes, a big crowd had gathered, garlands all over me, people trying to pull my feet, and somebody wants to know about his business, somebody wants to know when his daughters will get married. I said, "What? Where did you all come from?" They said, "You've been sitting here for 13 days. I thought, this is crazy. And I tried to open my legs, my knees were stuck. Then I knew time has passed. I didn't know, but my body is recording time. I just could open my knees, they had to bring hot water and massage me, and it took me almost an hour and a half to get my knees moving. Then I had to leave the place to avoid the attention, and by then, in about 6 weeks' time, my gait changed without any effort, the way I walk. My voice changed, the shape of my eyes changed. People around me could see something fundamental was changing within me. What happened within me I can never articulate. Simply lifetimes of memory descended on me with such weight, kind of it left me, to come to terms with that. Suddenly everything around me and everybody that I knew for a lifetime looked like absolute strangers. And it is not… I cannot say it was difficult, definitely it was daunting. It was huge. So my skeptical mind kicked in and said, this can't be true, because if I accept this is true, I have been an utter idiot all my life. I don't like that. So I traveled. Next year and a half I just traveled everything that came in my memory just to ascertain if it is true. Every one of those places that I saw were 100% the way I had seen in my mind. And this took me to various places. And since then what's happened within me is more fairy tale-ish than a fairy tale. I don't expect anybody to believe such things because I do not believe such things. It is impossible to even articulate, but I would say even what's happening around me is too fairy tale-ish. People around me see this on a daily basis. It's quite ridiculous if you look at it, if you analyze it logically, it's quite ridiculous. But if you elevate yourself and look down, it is such a fantastic design. It is, I'm saying this not just by looking at the world around me. What we're just referring to as creation is such a fantastic, coordinated design. It's unbelievable. No human being can logically ever arrive at this and say, okay, I've gotten it. It's too much. At the same time, everything is so cohesive and so fantastic. When you see it, even for a moment if you see it, there is no way you can ever remain the same person. So since then my life has been just to make devices through which somehow you rub off this experience on people, even if it's for a moment. I can tell you millions of people today on such a state, if they just as much as close their eyes, tears of ecstasy will dribble down. They do not know the ultimate, but they're near, just the fragrance of the ultimate just breaks them up, dissolves them. This is something that must happen to every human being. Before we fall dead, this is a goal that all of you must set. Whether before you fall dead, whether you become a billionaire or not, I do not know. That's subject to many things. Whether you climb Mount Everest or not, I do not know whether you have the legs or the lungs for that. Whether you're going to run 100 meters in 7 seconds or not, I do not know. But before you fall dead, at least you must know this piece of life in its entirety. This is important and important, because if you pass this life without knowing the nature of what this is, in my opinion, it's a wasted life. It doesn't matter what you might have done, what achievements you might have done in the world. If you leave this place without knowing this piece of life in its entirety, it's a wasted life, because what this is bigger than anything that we can ever think of doing in this world. So
For many people, perhaps in this room and elsewhere, what you just described seems very far out of reach. And we were talking about…
I would like to correct that. I know that's a normal thing. I want you to understand this, all of you. See, when it comes to the outside world, we are all differently capable. What you can do, I cannot do. What I can do, you cannot do. That's a fact. And that's how it will always be, and it's wonderful it's that way. Otherwise, all of us would be doing the same damn thing. But once you look at your interiority, there is no human being here who is better equipped than the other. In your physicality, you may be better equipped than the other. In your psychological space, you may be better equipped than the other. In your interiority, you are neither worse nor better than anybody else. I'm not any better than any one of you or anybody in this world, for that matter, internally. In your interiority, all of us are equally capable. This is not something which depends on your competence. This only simply depends on your intention and willingness. This is not a question of competence at all. So it is never ever out of reach. It is just that we are looking in a different direction altogether. This happened some time ago. Someone came looking for the Isha Yoga Center in southern India. They came to a local village and asked the boy there, "How far is Isha Yoga Center?" He said, 24,996 miles. I said, "That far?" He said, "Yes, the way you're going. If you turn around, it's 4 miles." So it's not out of reach, I'm saying.
Well, perhaps though, to further your analogy, many people are heading down the path of 24,900.
Wrong direction, that's all.
Exactly. And so the question is, as an example, do individuals need a guru to turn around? Or what is it that has not manifested itself within them to turn in the right direction?
I know guru is a 4-letter word. And there's a whole lot of resistance to that. But if you're driving in a terrain that you're not familiar with, are you sensible enough to turn on your GPS? Or you do your own circuit?
If you're a man, you usually hold up as long as possible.
So that's why. Don't be a man or a woman, just be a piece of life, then it'll be very easy. It'll be very easy, because you're just a piece of life. Other things are assumed in so many different ways. Now, a guru means just a live road map. Road map is to be walked upon, not to be elevated there and worshipped. Do you understand? A guru is just a live road map. You know, GPS means guru positioning. Do what you don't do. I think you must look at yourself very carefully, because the children are picking up everything rapidly and they'll exaggerate everything that you're doing. So, one foremost thing is, at least make yourself in such a way that you would like to be. Somebody may not approve, it doesn't matter. At least you made yourself in such a way that you like the way you are. Gurus No, women will not make good gurus, nor will men make good gurus. Unless you know how to be beyond the two, you can't be this. If you're a man or a woman, if you're stuck with your gender, then there's no chance of being a guru because you're looking at the mechanics of life in a completely different way. You're just looking at life as life. All the problems on the planet is simply because everybody has their own mission. And these missions are creating variety of conflict. If all of us sit here without any mission, mission means an assumed position of importance and agenda, individual agenda. If all of us can sit here, what is a human being longing for? Every human being. All of you, wherever you are right now, you would like to be little more than what you're right now, isn't it so? Hello? Yes. If that little more happens, what? Little more? If that happens, what? So it looks like in installments you're going towards something. How much more would settle you for good? Let's look at it right now.